All right, court is calling CM 118261 and CM 118262, State versus Christopher Ray Munoz. Defense has filed a motion to modify special bond conditions. State, have you had a chance to review the defense's motion?
We have that.
Are you ready to proceed?
Yeah.
And State, are you in objection?
Objection to the motion?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Okay.
All right, so defense, you may proceed.
Your Honor, I have one minor modification that I need to make on the record to the statements in my motion, as I've learned that there has been a slight change in paragraph. Okay. Paragraph 5, subparagraph A. There's a statement that on my client's partial house arrest, that he is not being allowed to shop for groceries or household goods. That is largely true, but he has been allowed by pretrial services to stop at convenience stores for gas and make very quick trips on his way. But largely, the shopping is still an issue. So I wanted to clarify that he has been given a little bit of leniency. To my understanding, when I drafted this, there was no leniency at all. He could not shop in any store whatsoever.
Right, so let me ask you, specifically in your motion, what are you requesting?
We're requesting relief from GPS partial house arrest, and we're also requesting relief from the blanket prohibition against being with anybody under 18.
All right, so
due
let's
to the
start
family
with
implications.
the GPS. Do
I-
you want him removed from GPS entirely?
I would like him, we offer the court an alternative. I would like him removed from GPS entirely. If the court ends up being unwilling after hearing testimony, then we would ask for GPS to be switched to tracking only.
Okay. And State, would you have an objection to tracking only?
GPS stays in place.
Oh, no. I'm just asking just blanket questions right now, and then I'll hear everybody's argument. So I just want to pare down where the disagreement is or the objection is. So you want GPS removed entirely or either tracking in the alternative?
Yes.
Okay. And then what's the other thing that you're requesting?
The other thing is we would like relief from the provision where he is not allowed to have contact with any person 17 years of age or younger, as that is conflicting with family get-togethers and as we'll introduce from his mother's testimony.
All right. So State, do you have any objection to him being around people who are 17 years of age?
We do that.
All right. So now I know where the disagreements are.
That's the entire scope of this morning's motion.
All right. And so there are no other bond conditions you're asking to be modified, just those
That is
two?
correct. Just those two.
All right.
Yes, yes.
All right. You may call your witness.
The defense calls Mary Munoz. Mary Munoz, please come forward.
Sir, then I'm here.
No. We don't have any cough drops, do we?
No.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Everyone, please make sure you whisper. We're on the record. Could you state your name for the record?
Mary Ellen Munoz.
All right, just make sure you keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear and so that I can hear, okay? All right, and thank you for dressing appropriately for court.
Thank you.
All right, Counselor, you may proceed.
Ms. Munoz, do you know Christopher Ray Munoz?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Christopher?
He's my second son.
Okay. You are his biological mother?
I'm biological mother, yes.
Did you raise him in your home?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, you are aware of his arrest in March on the current case, correct? Cases?
I am.
Okay. And you're aware that he bonded out
I do.
and you have invited him to make his home in your home
Yes.
for the time being?
Yes.
I would like to ask you some questions because you would be aware of the things that I want to ask about. Okay. Do you currently live at 127 West Drexel Avenue in San Antonio?
That is correct.
Is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
How long have you resided there?
Since September, October of 2014.
So you've been there for 10 years.
Yes.
Now, is it true that Christopher for the most part, is unable to shop for himself.
Yes,
Have you been having to buy his groceries?
I have.
Have you been having to do other businesses that require going to a store for him?
Clothing.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you agree that that has cost you extra time because you've been the one to have to do those things?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have extended family other than Christopher? You said he was your second son, right?
yes,
So you have other children?
I have one of my oldest.
How many other kids do you have besides Christopher?
I just have a son and a daughter.
Okay. And do you have any grandchildren?
I have grandchildren. I have
Okay.
four grandsons.
Okay. Now, before this incident and before Chris was on bond, would you frequently have your children and grandchildren over to your home?
Yes,
Okay.
for dinners and
Okay. Are any of these grandchildren under 18?
yes, three of them.
Has this created a hardship because Christopher's not allowed to be around persons under 18?
It has birthdays and Mother's Day and
So have these relatives just not come, or have you made Chris leave, or have you?
they just don't come to the house. The children are not allowed to come. I'd have to go over there.
Are you aware that Christopher has a son?
Yes,
Do you know the name of his son?
Jackson David Carranza Munoz.
And do you know approximately how old Jackson is?
He is 8 years old.
Now, before this incident or before this arrest, was Christopher active in his son's life?
Yes, every other week he would pick him up and have him for the weekend and take him back.
Okay. From what you could see, did Jackson appear to enjoy being around his dad?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Since Christopher's release on bond, to your knowledge, has he been able to see his son?
No, he hasn't been able to see him or talk to him.
Have you heard from Jackson during this time?
Yes, I have
Okay.
contacted his mother and
Okay.
yes,
Now, I understand that after this incident or after this arrest, CPS investigated Christopher, is that right? Are you aware of this?
yes,
Okay. And are you aware if they found any reason for concern regarding Jackson?
no, they did not.
Okay. Are you aware of whether their investigation has been closed?
Yes, we received a letter that it's been closed.
Okay. And I believe that letter was provided as an exhibit to the court, to the original motion, right? Okay. Have you ever seen Christopher acting inappropriately around Jackson?
No, never.
Now, you have another son. What is your other son's name?
Juan Munoz
Juan.
Jr.
And does Juan,
Excuse me, counsel, I'm sorry for interrupting. I don't have the letter attached. You said there was a letter?
there should have been a letter. See if I made a note that I attached that as a motion or as an, let me see. That should have been part of, I did not print out the letter this morning because I thought, yes, I believe I attached it to the original motion. But it states that CPS did a peremptory investigation into Christopher regarding his son Jackson and found nothing and closed the investigation with no reason to believe.
All right. And state, have you reviewed that letter?
I did not know there was a letter.
All right.
It's
Just one
possible it
second.
may not have attached.
Well, let me, are you
I thought
able
I
to,
did.
that's okay. Are you able to email the letter to me and I'll
I'm
print
able
it
to
out?
email that letter today.
Let me,
Yes, I have it.
Let
And if
me
we
get-
want to table the decision until the court can review that letter, that would be fine.
what I will do is, this is my email address. If you're able to email it to me, then I'll email it back to both parties, so it won't be considered ex parte.
That's fine. I will do that and I will make sure that I have your email address as well and I'll. do
And
it to
if you
both.
attached it to your motion, the clerks may be able to pull it up as well.
I attempted to, not everything I've attempted to e-file has gone the way that I wanted it
Okay.
to.
All right, no problem.
So, but I'll make sure that the court has it within the next 2 hours.
All right, thank you. You may continue.
Okay. We had said, I had asked if you had another son and you identified the son as Juan Munoz Jr., is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, does Juan have any kids?
Yes, he's got 3.
Okay. And are any of those kids under 18?
2 of them.
Okay. What are their names?
Noah Munoz and
Okay.
Elijah Munoz.
Do you have an idea about how old Noah and Elijah are?
Noah's 13 and Elijah's 8.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, he just turned 9.
Okay. Now, prior to this arrest, are you aware of whether Christopher was active in his nephew's lives?
Oh, yes, he was.
Okay. And he and his brother or he and his nephews
Were
would frequently
close.
see each other?
Yes.
Okay. And since his arrest, are you aware of whether Christopher has been able to have any contact with his nephews?
No, he hasn't.
Have his nephews been able to come over to your house?
No, they cannot.
Okay. Do you wish they could have?
Yes.
Now, what does Christopher, excuse me, what does Christopher do for his job?
He's a press operator,
I'm sorry,
die
what?
cutting press operator for the company that I work at,
Okay. And what's the name of the company you work at?
Diversified Printing Services.
Okay, so he is a die operator at a printing shop. What does that function do?
It's a die cutting press. It runs sheets through and it cuts them and makes into pocket folders, brochures, those HED sleeves.
Got it. So it's involves cutting different types of paper.
Yes, and of operating
Okay.
forklift and moving pallets and things
Okay.
like that.
Now, are you aware of whether Christopher, before this incident or before this arrest, was able to do jobs on the side, skilled labor, unskilled labor?
Yes, maintenance.
What is Chris good at?
Air conditioning repair.
Okay. And since his arrest, has he been able to go do any of these side jobs that you're aware of?
No, he hasn't.
Do you have any idea why he has not been able to do that?
Because they require going to the actual home to look at the units.
Okay. And do you know whether he has tried to get permission from pretrial services to do side jobs?
I think one time he did ask for permission.
Are you aware of whether he was granted permission?
They did grant him permission one time.
Was there an issue of how much advance timing notice they needed or anything like that?
It was a day's notice advance.
Okay. And are you aware of whether he always has that much notice when he has a job opportunity?
No.
Okay.
Not aware.
So has the lack of notice affected his ability to accept these opportunities, in your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Do you believe that Christopher poses a danger to you?
No. I mean, yes, no, I believe he does not pose a danger to me.
Okay. Who else lives in your home?
I'm just myself.
Okay. Do you believe that Chris poses a danger to anybody else in your extended family?
No.
Would you be worried if anybody in your extended family spent time around Christopher?
No, I would not be worried. I never have worried.
Okay. Do you want the court to grant him relief from GPS monitoring?
Yes, I do.
Do you want the
Very
court to grant him the ability to travel around freely?
Yes.
Do you want the court to allow him to be around people who are not yet 18?
Yes. Especially my his nephews
Okay.
and his son.
Wanted to ask one other question. You mentioned that Juan Munoz was a junior.
Mhm.
Now, you said you lived alone. So
Yes.
does that mean that you are no longer with Christopher's father?
Right, we were divorced in 2008.
Okay. So does Christopher's father is he still living?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Has Christopher been able to go and visit his father?
No, he hasn't,
Do you know why?
because he has to be at my house.
Okay. Ask the witness.
State?
So yes, I have a few questions for you.
Yes.
Are you aware of the charges that Mr. Munoz is currently facing?
I was made aware of them, yes.
It's, continuous sex abuse of the mind, right?
Right.
Which you would agree with me, it's a very serious.
It's a very serious charge, yes, I know.
Because it involves children, right?
Mhm.
And you're aware that while he is facing his trial date, there needs to be some special conditions as part of his bond, right?
Yes,
And one of those conditions is to keep him under partial house arrest, right?
right.
So he is still allowed to go to work, right? It's just that he wants more time to go to work.
Yes. Correct.
But you agree with me that even though you said that he does not pose a danger to you because you're his mother, you agree with me that there could be a danger to the community for someone facing this trial.
No, I don't believe that.
So you would agree with me that so do you know any other facts in this case?
I just know what I was read.
What you read?
Well, no, what came out on the news.
Okay. But of course, everything that gets reported in the news is not the whole case.
Right, correct.
There's definitely more information. So you haven't talked to these girls, right?
No, I don't even know where they live.
Okay. So it's fair to say that you're missing information, right? That we have, which is why we have concerns, right? Okay. So you mentioned that he cannot go grocery shopping, right?
Right.
But you agree with me that he can still get groceries, right?
If I go out of town, then he's left to fend for himself.
Well, but there's ways to get groceries, like maybe at curbside. Have you heard of HEB curbside?
Yes,
You
correct.
can go and pick up the groceries out, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So,
You pay more if you can.
Well, you can pay more if you need it immediately, but it's
Mhm.
free if you order it ahead of time.
Correct.
Okay. You also stated that you don't believe that he's a danger to the family members, to
Correct.
the extended family, but you also said that if extended family cannot go to your home because of the conditions, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but you agree with me that Mr. Munoz doesn't necessarily have to live with you, right? He can live somewhere else.
He was evicted from his apartment that he lived at when he got these charges on him.
Okay, but he's working, right?
Right.
And he can maintain himself, or at least he could, right? And live somewhere else.
That would be difficult because then he would have to disclose what he's charged with.
And you think that the community would want to know these kinds of things?
Because I don't believe that he did this.
Yeah, but you just told me that you don't know all the information. How can you believe that?
Because I know my son.
Okay, I see. Because you love your son,
Yes.
right? And you're going to do everything to protect him.
Of course.
No further questions, Judge.
Any other questions?
Are you aware that HEB does a 3% upcharge for curbside orders? Were
Yes,
you aware of that?
I am aware of it because.
Even if you order ahead?
Correct. I know.
No further questions.
All right, here's my question. Who all lives in your home? What are their ages?
Me, I'm 63 and then my son, Christian.
All right, those are the only two people who live in your home?
2, yes.
All right. So with regards to what is in place now, which is that he cannot be around persons 17 or younger, who are the people? And when I say people, I mean, what are their ages of the people who you want to be in your home who are 17 years or younger?
My grandson, Noah, 13. My other grandson, Elijah, he's 9. And then, of course, Jackson.
Okay. And how old is Jackson?
Jackson's 8 years old. That's his son.
All right. So the 13-year-old and the 19-year-old, do their parents know what he's charged with?
The 19-year-old?
I'm sorry,
Oh.
the 13-year-old and the 9-year-old, do their parents know what he's charged with?
Yes, they do.
And the 8-year-old, does the mother of that child
Yes.
know what he's charged with?
Yes, she does.
And the parents of the 13-year-old, the 9-year-old, and the 8-year-old, do they have issues with him being alone with the 13-year-old, 9-year-old, and 8-year-old?
No, they don't have any issues.
Okay.
Does your daughter have any children?
My daughter doesn't have any children yet.
Okay.
She's trying.
So with regards to the 13-year-old and the 9-year-old, do they have to come to your house or can you go to their home?
That's what I've been doing, going to their home, but when I have family gatherings or it's my birthday or Easter or something like that, it'd be nice to have it at my house. And especially for Thanksgiving, Christmas is coming up.
So you're saying
And
Thanksgiving,
babysitting too, because sometimes, my son lives on base at Lackland. And sometimes I would like for them to bring him to my house and they could,
and he's not allowed on base, is he?
not right now, no.
And why is he
Well,
not
he
allowed?
had passed for base. Yes, he was.
But he's not allowed
He
on
hasn't
base
been
now?
able to go anywhere. Once he goes to work, he comes.
No. My question is, with the charges he has, is he allowed on base?
I don't know.
May I
All right,
clarify?
and, oh, just one second. When is your birthday?
It just passed July 24th.
Okay. All right, you may ask questions.
Has he even attempted to go on base since he was put on house arrest?
No.
All right. Any other questions?
Not
All right.
mistake.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Your Honor, when
Yes.
he was arrested, of course, he was a magistrate. He didn't have an attorney at the time. So everything's put into place without counsel.
Well, I can tell you, when a person goes before a magistrate,
Mhm.
it's not considered adversarial.
Mhm.
So what ends up happening when a person goes before a magistrate, that magistrate just tells them what their rights are. Nobody questions him about the facts of the case or whether it's true or not. They just read it. The magistrate will read what the charges are to make sure there's probable cause. Then what will end up happening is the magistrate will tell him his rights, what you've heard on television,
Yes.
right to remain silent. And then the magistrate will set a bond. Okay? So the magistrate's job is not to determine whether he's guilty or not guilty. You understand? Because their burden is much lower.
Yes,
All right. Thank you so much for coming in.
thank you.
You may see.
All right. You can call your next witness.
No further witnesses, just have argument, and I will provide the court with the document that we mentioned.
All right.
Would this be the appropriate time for argument?
Yes. Well, I have a few questions. Maybe the attorneys can address this.
Okay.
So,
So before we move forward, the person
Yes.
judge, I just wanted to see, I don't have any witnesses, but I want to see if I can introduce, please give the one, just get police report and prosecution back to the report.
yes. Any objections to the court reviewing the police report and the prosecution guide?
We object simply because there is no sponsoring witness, there's no supporting documentation. It is simply an unproven charge. And we would ask the court to either to decline to review it because there's nobody to sponsor it, or to at least take notice of the fact that nothing in there is proven.
All right. The court will take notice that nothing is proven. This will just, and I will tell you, the purpose of my reviewing it is to figure out why the state is objecting to the 17 years of age. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Correct. My response would be, Judge, that the rules of evidence for 101, in a proceeding like this, the rules of evidence don't apply.
All right. So first issue, and if y'all can tailor your arguments to the questions that I have. So state, with regards to him going to a grocery store, what is the specific issue with him shopping for groceries?
Given that there are two victims in this case, one of the witnesses is a child, so total of 3 minors. I believe any exposure to any children in the community is a danger. I don't believe that he should be in public places or places where there are children around, which would be a grocery store.
Okay. All right. So here's the court issue with the grocery store shopping. People have to be allowed to have food. So what we can do with regards, I'm not going to remove GPS tracking, but I will allow him a time period where he can go to the grocery store. The tracking will actually show him at the grocery store. So what hours does he need to go to the grocery store?
Would normally be evenings and weekends, times when he's not working. And it would not necessarily just be the grocery store. Sometimes we need Scotch tape. Sometimes we need new shoes.
All right, they have that at the grocery store. They do have Scotch tape at the grocery store. And I'm not promoting anybody, but Walmart has everything. HEB has everything. Walmart has shoes. They do have groceries as well. If you're going to the Walmart that has everything. HEB, if you're going to the big HEB, my understanding, they have shoes, they have everything. So it's not going to be every day. Pick a day for when he wants to go to the grocery store.
Would you be able to do shopping on a Saturday or on a Sunday more conveniently?
I would.
Pick a day,
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
All right, Saturday for the grocery store. What's the time frame? And I'm thinking children, when I was growing up, children would be at home in the morning time watching cartoons, getting up at 6 a.m., waking parents up.
Could be working Saturday daytime. Would it be appropriate for evening, or is there some place that's going to be closed by evening?
Oh, HEB is 24/7, so is Walmart.
I think Walmart is 24/7. I don't know about HEB.
HEB still closes at 11. I have a daughter who works
Oh,
there.
HEB closes at 11? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, Walmart is 24/7. So what time for the grocery store?
If how large or small a time frame is the court looking for? Like a 4-hour time frame? Or
Oh, it
what are you
doesn't
looking
take
for?
people 4 hours to grocery shop.
Okay.
All
I
right.
would say after 5 p.m. on Saturdays.
Be 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours for grocery shopping.
Okay.
So what time? Saturdays. What are the hours for grocery shopping?
About 5 p.m.
5 to 7
5 to
p.m.
7.
Okay.
5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for grocery shopping on 7. Now, we've settled that. I'm not removing GPS, but I will allow him to go grocery shopping from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
is tracking unacceptable as an option to the court?
No, I'm not going to do tracking. Is he being allowed to work?
Yes.
He is currently, allowed to work. I think the issue was he wanted to do additional.
He had
Jobs,
additional
side jobs,
opportunities because he's good at AC repair and things like that. And he was not able to embrace most of those because they required more advanced notice than pretrial was comfortable with. And pretrial also wanted to know, is this somebody's home that he would be at or something like that?
Because here's the thing, if he's doing AC work, if he has to go inside somebody's home,
Correct.
then they need to know what he's charged with in case they have children inside the home. And I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm not taking it as true, just
Okay.
based upon the nature of the charges.
You got to be fair to both sides.
Yes. All right. So partial GPS for employment, that's going to still stand, and he's allowed to grocery shop on Saturdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Now, the next thing we're going to move to is this 17 years or younger issue. Thanksgiving, Christmas. State,
So it would be the same argument, Judge. This is more than one victim. I did not know about the CPS letter. I will have no objections if he wants to see his son and his son only. However, any cousins or any other minor children, I would probably be objecting to that.
Your Honor, in response, may I respond to that?
yes.
The allegations in this case date back to 2017. It is 2024 now. There is no allegation of any inappropriate contact with children since then. There have been no criminal charges since then that have stuck. There was a misdemeanor assault that was charged and then summarily dismissed because the justice system worked like it was designed to work.
All right. So,
So if there were going to be issues involving his nephews, they would have come up by now.
all right. Number one, I'm not going to allow any unsupervised contact with minors. So with regards to Thanksgiving and Christmas, usually I know Thanksgiving and Christmas, when people come over, they stay forever, but there's going to be a window of time for Thanksgiving and Christmas where the mom can have her grandchildren there and he can be there as well. But it's no unsupervised contact. Any objections to that as an option, state?
Well, see, I have concerns, Judge, because the allegations that were made, in the police report, there was adults in the home, it was just in a different room
No,
where this
that's
happened.
inaccurate.
That's my understanding. So absent any,
Let me reread your police report, because I think in the police report, I think,
I think there's more details in the prosecution guide with the child too.
okay,
I have transcribed the whole thing. There has never been an allegation of anything that happened while any other adult was in the home.
just one moment, because I didn't read that, but let me see if I can see what you're talking about. No, it does say that, that other people were in a different room.
So for those reasons, we want to.
All right.
The other people were not adults. The other people were allegedly the girls.
Okay.
So anyway, but per further evidence.
All right. So here's the thing. Thanksgiving, I don't know. Thanksgiving and Christmas, I don't know how his family proceeds with their Thanksgiving, their Christmas, but there can be a window if mom is the person in charge of cooking Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving dinner. There can be a window where they can be there, but usually I know people don't want to leave right away after dinner, so I will give them a time frame on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Would you like to ask Mom? She's still here in the room.
Mom, if you'll come forward.
Mary Munoz, please step forward again.
All right, so are you the person who's going to be having Thanksgiving at your home?
I would like to have it at my home this year, yes.
And do you have Christmas at your home?
We each have Christmas at my home, or we'll have Christmas at my son's home. The
All right.
one that lives on base.
All right, so Christmas,
I'm sorry, she lives in Seguin.
all right, so for Thanksgiving, when is your Thanksgiving dinner?
Thanksgiving Day.
No, I mean, what are the hours?
Oh, all day, basically. Till about 9 o'clock, 10 p.m.
All right, so Thanksgiving Day, 9 a.m. to what time, State? Because normally with Thanksgiving, families are cooking all day.
I mean, I prefer not to have any, but
Yeah.
if it's just gonna be the lunch or the dinner, just
Yes.
for eating, it just depends on what time they want to eat.
But usually Thanksgiving dinner is throughout the day. Okay, 9 a.m. to,
May the defense make a comment?
yes.
In my experience, and I have not been at the Munoz household, but in my experience, we have a lot of meal prep. We have a very big meal that's way too big. There's no room left for dessert. There's football games, there's naps, there's dessert, there's leftovers, there's frequently games.
Well, I will tell you. In
Which part of
my,
that do we want to nix?
well, in our tradition, dinner is cooked the day before and everybody just relax on the event. So it's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and the parents of the 13-year-old, the 9-year-old, and the 8-year-old need to submit a letter stating they know what he's charged with. And they are fine with him being in a home with a 13-year-old, 9-year-old, and an 8-year-old supervised.
Yes. And that's all I want, and it's for, even if I'm always there or somebody else is always there.
9 a.m., 8 p.m. on Thanksgiving. Christmas,
Could we ask for the same thing, Your Honor?
well, here's the problem with Christmas. Christmas is going to be on base. I don't know if they're going to allow him on base with his charges. They probably not. But if they are allowing him on base, then it will be 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And again, there will need to be a letter submitted that the parents, and when I say parents, I mean both parents, know what he's charged with and have no objection to him being in a room with a 13-year-old, 9-year-old, and 8-year-old, but he must be supervised. There must be an adult there. Does everybody understand?
Yes.
Is there anything else?
Nothing further with regard to, if that is the, all of what the court wishes to do on the motion, then there's nothing further at this time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Christopher Ray Munoz.
President, Your Honor.
All
Ben
right.
Stevenson for the defense.
All right. If you'll have your client come up and counsel, you're on this side.
Refer against the approach.
And does he only have, oh, it's 2
We have
cases.
2 companion cases, virtually identical in
Okay.
allegation.
Just one moment.
I have
Oh,
extra
just-
copies.
Oh, they attached it.
Of the motions? Yes.
I have extra copies.
Okay.
Virtually the same.
And just give me a moment. I'm waiting for Odyssey to pull up your case for me.
Sure.
And the circles are going.
Waiting on Odyssey. I don't think that's ever been said before.
Mhm.
You guys heard a lot of see.
Under venture.
Yes.
First row.
That says loading case summary. All right, there we are. All right, and you want to change the conditions, correct?
We have a couple of conditions that we would like to address due to how long the case has been on.
All right, well, let me ask you this.
Yes,
Have
sir.
you conferred with the state on this?
I have.
And are you in objection?
We are in objection, yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll go on the record. Just give me a moment. All right, if everyone can please whisper, we're going to go on the record. Please make sure that you are not talking behind the court reporter. If you wish to speak to your client, just ask the deputy to remove your client to the other end. Court is calling the following CM numbers: 118-262, 118-261, State versus Christopher Ray Munoz. Can I have parties announce?
Rick Pena for the state of Texas.
Ben Stevenson for the defendant.
And are you Christopher Ray Munoz? In each of these cases, the defense has filed a second motion to modify special conditions of release on bond. State, have you had a chance to review the motions?
I have, Your Honor.
And State, are you in objection?
We are, Your Honor.
All right, defense, you may present evidence. Do you have any witnesses?
We do, Your Honor, but before that, I do have one housekeeping matter, just simply a request. We had a similar hearing on October the 24th. During that hearing, special concessions were made. The names of minors were mentioned and their addresses, home addresses, one of which was on a military base.
Mhm.
We found out later that the court proceeding was being broadcast live on YouTube,
Mhm.
and the persons named and the addresses ended up being targeted for harassment by
That will be
persons after
removed.
that. So we would ask that no names of minors or no addresses would be put on YouTube
Yes.
today.
All right, and that will be removed. And if it was, it's because it's listed as public information in the motion. So, counsel, in your motions, it would probably be best for you to just list them as complainants instead of the names,
Okay.
if they are complainants.
They're not.
All right.
I have mentioned 3 persons who are under 18 who are close relatives of the defendant, who are not involved in this case in any way, but who are affected by defendant's prohibition at being around any person under 18, which is one of the things that we'll address today.
All right.
That's the only housekeeping matter.
All right.
We
So
have
then,
one witness.
you may want to file motions because these documents are public record.
Okay.
So you may want to file motions to have those names removed from the other motions that have previously been filed.
I understand.
All right. Yes, who is your witness?
The defense calls Mary Munoz. Mary Munoz.
All right, Ms. Munoz, and sir, if you'll stand to this side. And counsel, she does not need to mention the names of the minors. I've read it in your motion.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Mary Munoz.
All right, just make sure you speak up because the court
Mary
recording
Munoz.
is here. All right, defense, you may proceed.
Hello, Mary. Would you like me to call you Ms. Munoz or Mary? What would you be more comfortable with?
Mary's fine.
Mary's fine. Thank you. Okay. What is your relationship to Christopher Ray Munoz?
I'm his mother.
Did Christopher grow up in your home?
Yes, he did.
Does Christopher currently reside in your home?
Yes, he does.
Are you aware that Christopher was released on bond in March of 2024?
I do.
Okay. And has he lived in your home at all times since his release on bond over a year ago?
Yes, he has.
Okay. Are you aware of the nature of the charges that he is charged with?
I am.
Are you aware that he currently is subject to bond conditions preventing him from being around or in contact with any person age 17 or younger?
I am.
Are you also aware that he is subject to a bond condition requiring him to be on GPS monitor with the exception of pre-approved work and of court proceedings? Are you aware that he is restricted from travel for those 2 reasons only, with the exception of a 2-hour shopping allowance that the court has given him in October?
Yes.
Okay. Wanted to ask you a couple questions. Do you have relatives who live outside your home?
I do.
Are these relatives that you keep in touch with?
Yes, I do.
Do some of these relatives have children who are under 18?
Yes, I do.
Would you like to be free to have these persons, including their under 18 children, be able to visit you freely in your home?
Yes, I would.
All right, let me just one moment, if we can go off the record. So state, it appears that from the defense's motion, what they're requesting is that for Easter, he allowed to have contact with his minor son, nephews to celebrate Easter dinner at the defendant's mother home where the defendant resides. So my question is, that's what it says in here. Defendant is aware that the Easter holiday is coming up on April 20th, 2025, and the members of defendant's family, including his minor son and nephews, desire to celebrate Easter dinner at the defendant's mother home where defendants resides. If it pleases the court, defendant seeks release from the above bond conditions in accordance with this motion in time for Easter 2025. So my question to the state is, are you going to have objections, bearing in mind what the court has previously ruled? Are you going to have objections with him being supervised with minors for Easter?
I am, Your Honor, yes, because we feel that. the
Okay, no,
charges-
no, I'm just,
Oh, yes.
yes,
Your
okay,
Honor,
then you
that
can
is not
continue.
all that we're asking for.
All right, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. What is the nature of Chris's employment? Is he currently employed?
Yes, he's employed, yes.
What type of work does Chris do?
What time is
What type of work does he do? What does he do?
doing
for a
right
living?
now? He's a press operator.
I'm sorry,
A
what?
press operator,
Can she speak up? I can't hear.
Yes, if you could speak up.
press operator.
A press
Press
operator.
operator. Okay, thank you.
So would you say that that is an industrial job?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Does he have work history or capabilities that include other types of skilled labor?
Yes, he does.
Okay. Has he ever done carpentry work?
No,
Has he ever done maintenance work?
yes, maintenance.
Are you aware of whether he would have other opportunities outside of his normal job and his normal work hours? Should he be able to accept them? Are you aware of whether other opportunities exist?
There are, but currently he's not able to accept them
Do you know why he's not able to accept them?
because of his GPS, because of his monitor.
Okay. Now, he has permission to work.
To get permission.
Is it the fact that he can't get approval fast enough? Or what is preventing him from accepting other employment options? Do you know?
That fact of, he has to give,
Okay.
advance.
Do you know how long it takes him to get approval to go places? How many days that's taking?
I do not.
And during the last year, you said Chris has lived in your home, correct?
Correct.
During the last year, have you seen any behavior by Chris that would cause you to question the safety of any person under 18?
No, I haven't.
Have you seen any behavior from Chris that would cause you to question whether he's going to stick around for trial?
No, I haven't.
Have you seen Chris break the law in the last year?
No, he has
Okay.
not.
You seen anything that Chris has done or discussed that would cause you to be concerned for the safety of the community?
I have not.
Okay. Are you aware of whether Chris has gotten in trouble for violating any of his conditions of bond since he's been on bond? Do you know of any time he's violated?
No, he has.
Okay.
I do not.
Now, it would be easy to ask for relief just for one day. But you said that Chris has been on house arrest for over a year now.
Yes, correct.
So would you like Chris to be able to travel freely within Bear County?
Yes, I would.
Why? Why is that important?
It's important because he needs to stay, for his well-being and his mental
Okay.
state.
Now, are you concerned that he would go around the persons who have accused him in this case? Or are you concerned that he would go around them? at
I
all?
am not. No.
Okay. And are you concerned for the safety of any of your minor relatives if he would be allowed to freely associate with them?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Do any of these relatives of yours ever have get-togethers at their homes, not at your home?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And are some of the children under 18 present at those gatherings?
Yes, they are.
Would you like for Chris to be able to go to those gatherings as well?
Yes, I would.
Do you think that it is healthy for Chris to be able to be at these family gatherings?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you have any concern if he is allowed to go to these family gatherings? Do you have any concern for anybody's safety?
No, I do not.
Pass the witness.
State?
Just a few questions. Ms. Munoz?
Yes.
You mentioned earlier you are aware of the charges pending against your son, correct?
Yes, I am.
That there are two separate cases pending against him?
Yes, I am.
And are you aware that these charges involve complainants under the age of 14?
Yes, I am. Mhm.
Despite knowing that, you said you're feeling okay with him coming into contact with children under the age of 14?
Yes,
Okay. Now, you testified that you were wanting your son to have contact with his son and nephews at your residence for Easter Sunday. Is that correct?
yes.
Is there no other means that you can think of for this to take place other than at your residence?
Well, he wouldn't be able to see them if they were somewhere else, right?
Well, could you go and see?
Well, yes, but the purpose is for his son to see him because he hadn't seen him since Christmas.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect, Your Honor.
Yes.
Ms. Munoz,
Mhm.
did you know that you are free to go visit your grandsons anytime you want to?
Yes,
Did I understand correctly that your concern was not so much that you're being isolated from your grandsons, but that Chris is?
yes. More.
Before these allegations came up and before Christopher was arrested and released on bond, was he active as a father in his relationship with his son?
Yes, he was very active with his son
Okay.
and his nephews.
Without naming the son, how old is his son now?
He's 9.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that Chris's son misses being around his father?
Yes, I do.
And do you believe that Chris's son would be better off if he was allowed to be around his father?
I believe he would.
Now, it has been posited that you're asking for permission for him to be around family on Easter Sunday only, but that's not what you're asking, is it?
I would very much like it for his nephews and his son to be able to visit, when the time specified, because he was able to see his son on 3 times, every other week he had cut overnight, weekend custody of him, and all that stopped when all this happened.
So are you saying that Christopher is subject to a custody ruling and he is not able to do what the family law judge wanted him to?
Correct.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, I have any questions unless there's some objections to the court asking questions?
No objection from the state.
Defense has argument. That's all that we have left.
Now, do you have any objections to me asking the witness any questions?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right. So I just have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Number one, do you know, and I'm not asking you about specific facts, but do you know anything about the nature of either of these cases?
I just know what was told to me.
Well, no. Just, do you know anything about the cases? That's yes or no?
Do I know anything about it?
Yes. Like, for example, what he's charged with, what are the alleged
Yes, I am.
ages of the children, who the
Yes.
children are?
Yes,
All right. Now, your counsel mentioned something about a custody agreement. Do you know when that custody agreement was put in effect, and has that custody agreement been modified since these allegations?
it has not been modified that I'm aware of, but he's making child support payments too.
But I mean, has visitation, other than this court's orders, have visitations been changed on the civil side?
I don't know, I'm not aware of that, but I just know that, he hasn't, because of the no contact with under 17.
All right, then here's my other question, and you may not know the answer to this. Maybe the attorneys will be able to give this to me.
Mhm.
Do you know whether or not Child Protective Services was involved in this? In this
On my
case?
grandson's side?
No, just was Child Protective Services involved at all in any of these cases?
I believe I heard that they were, yes.
All right, and did Child Protective Services do an investigation involving
They didn't.
your son and your grandson?
Yes, they did.
And does anybody know, or do you know, what the outcome of that investigation was?
It was, yeah, you have that. already.
I'm aware of most of the answer to that question, if I may.
Yes.
Okay. What I'm aware of is that after this allegation came down, that CPS did a preemptory investigation into my client's semi-custodial son, just to make sure that nothing had happened to the son. And my understanding is, I believe I've seen the documents to this extent, that investigation regarding his son was closed with no reason to believe that anything inappropriate had happened regarding the son.
All right.
I'm not aware of any CPS actions involving the persons who are listed as complainants in these cases.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions for the witness?
No from the state.
All right. Thank you. You may be excused. I'll call your next witness.
No further witnesses, simply argument.
All right. The court will hear argument.
It's his motion. I'll let him go
Yeah.
first.
That's what I'm saying. Here, I'll hear argument.
Did you have anybody?
Well, no witnesses from me. Now I have argument as well.
Okay. Your Honor, the wheels of justice have a bad reputation of turning slowly. We're here on something that may or may not have happened back in 2017. And it took 7 years for this to turn into a warrant. And a year later, we're still no closer to a trial. We very much look forward to using the system the way it's designed to be used in hopes that it will shed the light of truth on everything. And our hope, my personal hope, as I believe my client, is that it will clear his name. We can't do that yet because the case is not indicted. And my client has been on house arrest, basically sentenced to prison in his own home with the exception of working and a couple of hours for good behavior for a crime for which he's never been convicted. We have strong reason to believe that he has very meticulously complied with all of his conditions of bond. I have not heard the state bring up violations of conditions. The state has easy access to pretrial services. Had that been an issue, I'm sure the state would have looked there and gone there and we would have heard about it. I've spoken with my client. He has gone over the top to comply with everything. He also has faith in the system, but he's also shared with me that it has been a very, very long year. And we're simply asking, as he has proven that he does not have to be kept at home at all times when not working, a preset job planned ahead of time, that he could be trusted with tracking only. Obviously, it's going to show where he is, but it's also going to show where he's not. I have no reason to believe that he has any desire to go anywhere near the persons listed as complainants in this case. And I've worked very closely with him and his mom and some other relatives in forming my opinions. Regardless of the outcome of the case, I don't believe that anybody is going to be at risk if he's changed to tracking only. He's given the court and the state more than a year and has been extremely patient at it. But it's time to recognize that and recognize that we have more restrictions on him than what is actually necessary for the safety of the victims, the safety of law enforcement, the safety of the community, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Thank you.
Your Honor, state feels that this is the exact type of charge where having no contact with minors under the age of 14 is appropriate, that the GPS conditions of partial house arrest should remain in effect until the judge sees differently while the case is pending. Given the safety of the community and the ages of the children, we feel the bond conditions are appropriate and should not be affected in any way. Additionally, I have reviewed this with defense counsel. Believe he doesn't have any objections. They would like to enter into evidence Safety Exhibit 1, which is 1 page of the police report in this matter.
Defense understanding is that this is the narrative of the outcry to the first responding officer, but expects that the court will want to review that.
Oh, thank you. All right, so I have a few questions. And then maybe you all want to address this.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I understand about manpower. I understand all of this. But we were here on October 24th, 2024 for 2 cases that are CM cases. And we're still here on 2 cases that are CM cases. Obviously, it hasn't been taken to the grand jury. Maybe an investigation hasn't been completed. So when, if ever, I don't want to say if ever, when does the state anticipate moving this out of the criminal magistrate status? And if you're seeking an indictment, when will you be seeking that? Because we've been here on this case since last year, October, which I know, yeah, it's not that many months, but still, the alleged offense date, you say it's from 2017?
Yes, June 20, 2017.
All right, on or about June 2017, and we're still here. And again, I understand manpower. State is saying this is important, but we're here.
I understand.
And I understand your issues because this is continuous, alleged to be continuous sexual abuse.
Yes,
So, what is that?
I'm sorry, that shows the show. I'm being quiet.
Oh, no problem. That's okay. I was like, wow, what information are we gaining? I thought it was information about this case.
To answer your question, unfortunately, I don't have a specific time frame to tell you of when and if this will be presented to the grand jury and when and if a potential indictment is coming. I just know that, as you mentioned, given the severity of the charge, to first degree felony, state still feels that it is important to keep these bond conditions in place.
All right, so I can tell you what I'm going to do because I don't think it's fair for someone's life. He's saying he's not guilty. I don't think it's fair for his life to be in limbo forever. I understand the protecting of society. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to rule on your motion. I'm going to recall this. And when we come back, state, you need to decide what you're going to do with this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
And something needs to be done with this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
And counsel, for the next hearing that we have, I'm going to want to see the civil documents
Family law.
with regards to his custody. I'm going to want the CPS, if they ruled it out, I'm going to want to see that documents, or either have a CPS caseworker here.
Certainly.
The CPS caseworker can appear by Zoom. We're recalling this back on May 27th. That gives everybody plenty of time. There are weeks off in there for holidays, for fiesta. So I'm giving you all fiesta time, but we're going to come back on May 27th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
Yes.
may I ask, given the fact that we're approaching 8 years, may I ask for some temporary orders so that Easter will not end up being a total loss?
I don't feel comfortable doing anything with your motion until I have the information on the CPS and also the civil custody matter, because I don't know if on the civil side, there were some modifications that were done there or not. So if I can have those documentations, we can go from there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so we're going to come back on May 27th. And at that time, state, you need to have an update for the defense, and I will make a ruling.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Is it inappropriate for us to ask for what you did for Thanksgiving and Christmas, considering that the court was comfortable granting that at that time? And that
Well,
is a major holiday.
well, I will tell you, the reason why I don't feel comfortable now is because there's been some CPS records that have been brought to my attention now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The no reason to believe, I believe I can email that to your office today.
All right.
Me
Thank
do
you.
that and we'll see where we're at.
Hello, Mr. Munoz. I'm doing okay. Thank you for dressing appropriately for court.
We were here a month ago.
Yes, we were. All right. So what is the status on this case? Is this case never getting indicted?
I'm sure that it is being reviewed by our intake prosecutors.
All right, we're close to a year with this case.
Over a year.
Well, over a year. So defense, whatever motions you want the court to entertain, the court will entertain. I don't understand why it takes a year to review a case before a decision is made on whether or not a case should be indicted. So we're on the record, CM 118261, State versus Christopher Ray Munoz. Can I have parties announce?
Ashley Jones for the state.
Ben Stevenson for the defendant.
And you're Christopher Munoz.
Yes.
All right, defense counsel, you filed a motion to modify conditions of bond. What are you asking for?
Yes, Your Honor. In our second motion, we're reciting that he has been in compliance for over a year while on partial house arrest.
And what are you specifically asking for?
We're specifically asking the court to set aside the provision forbidding contact with any person age 17 years or younger, as that is causing him to not be able to be in public places or be with his son, who is severely missing his dad, or with his brother's kids. The other thing that we're asking for is that the GPS be changed to tracking only to prove where he is and where he isn't. We'd be
All right,
glad.
with regards to the GPS,
Yes, Your Honor.
let's start there. You have an objection to tracking?
We do, Your Honor, just based on the charge in this State's Exhibit 1 that I believe was entered at the last bond setting.
All right, do you want to enter that into evidence for this setting?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and where is states?
Sorry, Your Honor.
No
I thought
problem.
it was incorrect. Regarding that.
All right. Any objections?
We would only remind the court that it is not actual evidence because it is simply a police report's hearsay.
All right, so with regards to tracking only, the court is going to grant your request for tracking only. This
Thank you.
case has been going on for a year. I don't understand what's happening in intake, but either it's going to be indicted or it's not going to be indicted, or either it's going to be presented to the grand jury or it's not going to be presented to the grand jury. State, I have reviewed State's Exhibit number 1. I understand your concerns, but as this defense counsel says, this is all hearsay, quadruple hearsay. So, I'm going to order tracking only.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, with regards to tracking only, there's still going to be certain limitations placed on that. And those limitations are you're not to be within so many yards from a school or a daycare. How many yards are you all requesting, state?
1,000 yards.
All right. So,
Defense would simply need to ask my client, I have not looked at your mom's home on a map. Are you very close to a school or a park?
Yes.
How close are you to a school? Do you know?
The school is probably like 2 minutes down the road,
Is it a block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks?
about 3 blocks.
We simply want to make sure that we don't have a problem complying with that. It's just we want to make sure that he doesn't inadvertently live in an exclusion zone.
all right. So there'll be tracking only. Defendant is not allowed to enter any park or playground or school within 2 blocks of his residence. And outside of those conditions, he is not allowed, with that exception, he's not allowed within 1,000 feet of parks, schools, playgrounds, daycare.
He will have to map simply because that's a fifth of a mile, but I'm sure he will be diligent to be compliant, Your Honor.
Okay.
We believe that the 1,000 feet probably is a little excessive. We believe 200 or 300 feet would be sufficient because it might make traveling direct routes to places inadvisable simply because schools are frequently put on main streets. And that will make for a lot of main streets. He's got to take indirect routes simply to avoid going down the street where a school is.
Right. So then the next issue is you want him to have contact with minors?
The main concern is my client's son and his nephews because the son is missing his dad and mom's prepared to testify to that. She testified to that when we were here in April. And then my client is also very close with his brother who has 2 minor sons. No concerns have ever been expressed. With regard to simply relaxing that condition, I don't believe that there are any articulable facts that would lead anybody to believe that any person with the possible exception of the named complainants in this case would have any reason to be concerned. We just want to keep him out of situations where he's excluded from family events and excluded from public places that other people would be able to go to.
All right. So with regards to the 3 minors that are listed in defense's motion, do you have objections?
Yes, state has the objection, just again, based on the charge and the facts, given that these were 2 children that were in this area.
All right, there's to be no unsupervised contact with the minors listed in your motion. And there's to be, other than that, there's to be no contact with minors outside of those minors. Is there anything else?
Would ask for one simple clarification. When we visited with the court last November, the court maintained the partial house arrest, but gave my client a 2-hour window on Saturdays where he could shop. We mentioned that anytime that he is in a retail establishment, there could be persons under 17 also in that retail establishment. And we got the court to note on the record that he was still allowed to shop in retail establishments.
Yes.
Okay. And that is the court's continued will that he not be excluded from being able to shop at normal stores during normal hours.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anything else? All right.
Nothing
thank you.
further at this time. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And counsel, if you're prepared that order, I will sign it.
There is an order.
Here you are. If you'll prepare it, I'll sign it.
Okay, as in write in more of the things that you said.
Yes. And if you'll just confer with the state on that.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do
Thank
that.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
Let's get the facts straight. She loves a verbal ashtray. Never blowing smoke when she gets pissed. She's quick to castrate. Love her on a good day, love her on a bad day. Either way, she's here to stay, stay, stay. Call up holy, 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 holy.